Hey guys, today I'll be showing you how to knit a ruffled scarf, like the one I'm wearing right now. For this project, you're going to need probably a size 4 to a size 8 knitting needles. These are a 6.5. You're also going to need some either Starbella, Sachet, your favorite brand of this type of yarn. You will know that you have the right yarn for this project when you simply spread out the yarn, and there's little holes that kind of looks like a net. So that is when you know you have the right yarn. I'm using Starbella, 33 yards. I like this kind. It even has a pattern on the inside, just if you don't quite get this video, which you probably should, but it does have a pattern. I think it's way more complicated than it needs to be, because if you don't know how to knit, then you're not going to get this. But I'm going to show you how to do it if you're a very, very beginner, don't know how to do the garter stitch or any other knitting stitches. So, this was one my aunt knitted for me. It's a blue jean with gold sparkles on it. I really like this one. You can buy ones with like sparkles and puffy little pom-poms on the end from like a specific store. Like, you have to kind of go online and look for them because they're not that common in regular stores like Michael's or Joann's. These are very common. If you go to Michael's, these are like always on sale. So just go over there and look. They usually have them for a lot cheaper than they are. So just go there and look. These are a plain kind I'm going to be using today. Here's another one I made. This one is like a peacock one. It's a little bit thinner than your usual ones because of the yarn I used for this. To change the thickness on your scarf, you're going to need to pick out a different kind of yarn. Sachet and Starbella are very different. Sometimes Sachet has way more holes. See, let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is the yarn. Do you see how many holes are in this one little stitch? And do you see how little holes are in this one right here? See, they're kind of like a lot bigger and stuff than these that are so small and close together. If you get the ones that are small and close together, you're going to end up with a thicker scarf like this one. If you get one like the one I'm about to show you, you're going to end up with smaller ones, so it won't be as thick. This one is my favorite one. I just got these at Michael's, of course, so just go ahead and go grab those there. Alright, so today I'm going to be showing you how to knit this without needing any knitting experience. A lot of the videos just say, you know, put your needles in there and knit this certain kind of stitch. Well, that's not going to work if you don't know how to knit. So I'm going to show you this without any knitting experience. So all you're going to do is just pull your yarn out, you know, just a few feet or so, just so that you don't have to keep pulling it off the skein. So you want to find your top right here, and you want to spread out your yarn as far as you like. The farther you spread it out, the faster you're going to be able to knit, because you don't have to stop and spread these things out as you knit. So just go ahead, you know, I say at least a foot, but you can go as many as, you know, 12 feet or whatever, but just don't unravel your whole skein, because you will not need all of it, so don't do that. So just in case the beginners don't know the difference between the top and the bottom of this yarn, I will let you know, because if you don't know, it will mess you up entirely. So the top just looks like that. It's just a regular loop, a very thin strand. It just looks as regular as the inside does. The bottom has a little border on it. See how it's different than the top? This is the top, and this right here is the bottom, because it has a border on it. So that's how you can tell you got to know the bottom from the top. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring your yarn up to the top, and you are going to skip 2 holes up at the very, very top from your edge. So see, here's 1 hole, here's 2 holes right here. See, there's my second one. So I'm going to skip it, and I'm going to go to my 3rd hole, which is right here. So now what you're going to do is take your knitting needle, alright, and stick it through that top hole. So see, there's my hole. Just going to stick it through. Alright, and then you're going to skip a hole on the top. See, there's the hole I just stuck it through. You're going to skip one and go to your next hole and grab it up from the back. You don't want to push your needle in through the front. You want to grab it from the back. It just is how you do it. It helps you a lot better. So you're just going to keep sticking in your needle into the little stitches, making sure to skip one until you've stuck your needle through 5 or 6 holes, depending on how big you want it. I'm gonna do 6 on this one. So just keep going through there, and then once you've got it through the last hole, you should have 6 or 5 little loops on the top. If you don't, then that means that you have not gotten the amount of stitches you need. But your design should look like this. So now you're going to flip your needle around to where if you are right-handed, the point will be facing towards your right side or your right hand. If you are left-handed, the point should be facing towards your left hand when you flip it around. So it should basically be facing towards your dominant hand. So now this is where your other needle comes in. And look at this very closely, because a lot of people are not very precise about this, but do you see how that needle went through that stitch right there? That is the hole that went through. So you're going to take your needle and stick it through that stitch, starting from the side with the point. So here's my point. I'm going to move over to my very first stitch and stick it through the same hole that other needle was stuck through. So see, it should make an X. Then you're going to transfer your needles to your dominant hand, grab the yarn, the excess yarn with this hand, and do you see how that bottom one right there was stuck through the same hole? You're going to skip a top hole, just like you did before, and you're going to stick it in through that loop. So see, now you just have a little loop right there. Now you're just going to take your bottom needle and just pull it back out through the loop, but just making sure to keep that stitch still on it. And then you're going to pull the other stitch off your other needle. So I'm going to do that again. I know this is like super confusing, but trust me, it shouldn't be. So I will do this again for you. So stick it through the hole, just like this. Take your yarn and skip a hole and stick it in the next hole with your bottom needle that you just stuck through, and then pull it through that stitch, keeping the stitch you just got on that needle, and then pull that stitch off the other needle. So you're just going to keep doing this until you reach the desired length of your scarf. But you're going to keep doing this technique until you get all of the stitches on this needle on your other needle. So I'm just going to keep going until I make sure I got all the stitches back on the other needle. Making sure not to let them fall because it will come unraveled, especially at this point in the stage. So just go ahead and keep doing that. I keep getting it caught in my other scarf. So I'm on my last stitch, and I'm going to grab my yarn, stick it through, and pull it off. That's basically all you're doing. It's very, very easy, especially if you already know how to knit. So you're basically doing you're kind of doing the garter stitch. I think. So just pull that stitch through and off. So see, you're going to have one needle that has nothing on it and one needle that has all your stitches on it. So now you're going to flip your needle back around to where the point is facing your dominant hand and do the exact same technique. And you're going to do that till the very, 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 very end. And so when you're done with that, like let's just pretend I want it, like this is my scarf and this is how I want to finish it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knitting needle, I'm going to stick it through just like we've been doing, grab a stitch and pull that existing stitch off, and you want to have two on one of your knitting needles, and I think I have 4 on my other knitting needles. So just cast on 2 stitches. So alright, so now I have 2 stitches on one knitting needle and I have 4 on the other. So now what I'm going to do is take the back stitch on this knitting needle. I just find it easier to pick it up with my fingers, but you're going to grab it with your knitting needle or your fingers and pull it over your first stitch and off your needle. So let me show you how to do it with the knitting needle now. You're going to grab the second stitch, pull it over the top stitch, just like that, and then let it drop. So now you only have 1. So you're always going to have 2 on this one. So you're going to want to cast on another stitch, and so let me just do this. Sorry. Alright, so now you're going to have 2 stitches on here again, and again take the back stitch and pull it over the top and let it drop. And you're going to keep doing this until you just have 1 stitch on your knitting needle and you flipped over your last one. So this is how we're going to be basically finishing it off, but don't just exit out of the video because you think this is all you got to do. No, because there's a different thing you have to do once you're done flipping all these things over. There are different techniques on how to finish this thing off. I only know one works best for me, so I don't really care. There's probably a better way to do this, but honestly I don't really care. So I'm just going to pull it through, and I know I hold my knitting needles kind of weird, but it's because I'm kind of a beginner, so I've been knitting for about 8 months. So there you go. It should look like that. You should just have 1 stitch on here. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your existing yarn and you're just going to pull this stitch off the needle, but make sure you still have a hold of it. And then what you're going to do is take the existing yarn and just pull it through that loop. So see, here's my loop. We're just going to take the existing yarn and just pull it through that loop. So I'm just going to shove it through. So see, I'm pulling it through. And at this point you're probably going to want to cut off about a 12-inch piece off of your skein. Then you're just going to tie a knot, and that's going to close it off. I can't do that because my yarn is attached to my skein, and if I cut it off, then I will not have enough to do my next scarf. But anyway, that's all you gotta do. And on your scarf, if you have this little like leftover hanging piece, you can take it and just kind of knit it in with your other ones. So just go ahead and do that. And that is how you make this scarf. I hope that's helpful. Knitting is kind of confusing, especially on camera. It's kind of easier to learn it from, you know, someone who knows how to in person. That is basically all you gotta do. So please comment in the box below on what you think of this video, and if you have any other knitting crafts you would like me to demonstrate. Also, please check out my other videos that I've posted on my channel. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.